Every Counter-Strike player will experience a time when it feels like nothing goes their way. Missed shots, unlucky timings, bad teammates, missed sprays, a new chair that somehow changes your entire arm position. These are all common elements of a slump. There's a million ways to get out of slumps: taking breaks, drinking more water, and I could sit here listing them all day, but I want to understand the actual reason why most Counter-Strike players feel stuck in this constant purgatory of burnout. Here's the real reason you struggle with slumps and always feel like you're going through a cycle of grinding and plateauing. You are in a toxic relationship with this game and you don't even know it. Before you even play Counter-Strike, you have to clearly and honestly establish what your goal is, and you have to understand how that goal is going to reflect on your relationship with this game. Now, personally, when I first started playing Counter-Strike, if you had told me that I needed to establish a concrete goal playing this game, I probably would have thought you were taking it way too seriously. This is the starting point for the vast majority of Counter-Strike players. Nobody gets into this game to become a professional player or even a notable one. You just pick it up because your friends in Spanish class play it on the weekends. Most people aren't thinking along these abstract lines when they install a video game. The problem with this initial impression, however, is that this is a huge trap for overly competitive people such as myself and probably you as well. We get hooked, put in thousands of hours trying to become this perfect player, and then look back not even really knowing what happened. When I put it this way, you can start to see how this doesn't sound like a very healthy relationship, right? So, okay, first of all, let's actually understand what is slumping. There's many different possible causes that can kickstart a slump or keep you in one, and I could sit here listing all the possibilities all day, but I think the actual common denominator between all of these possible slump events is your perception of them. Every Counter-Strike player, and I mean every Counter-Strike player, will inevitably go on a loss streak. Every Counter-Strike player will inevitably die in a stupid way. Every Counter-Strike player will inevitably have a session where they lose 200 elo in one night. The difference between a burned out player and a normal one is how they respond mentally to these instances. As a burned out player, encountering a 3-game loss streak can send you into a mental spiral, making you lose confidence, lose composure, ultimately sending you further into a slump, whereas a player that is more mentally fresh will be attacking the game from a more long-term view, understanding the ups and downs of the game, getting right back to winning as soon as they can. This is the reason that taking breaks is so effective. They reset your mind and re-engage you with the game. When you're burned out, every mistake and loss is perceived as a much bigger hit because your losses build up in your mind even if you've been playing the same the entire time. The longer you play, the less interested and engaged in winning you become, straying further and further from the fundamentals and ignoring important details that you would usually pick up in a better state.
You're bad play. Stop saying, "Oh man, I'm playing really bad. I gotta change settings," or I'm missing all my shots. I'm not heading him. My reg is off. If you get those thoughts and you can't clear them out by yourself by just like before you play your next game, go and do something else. Go out with friends. Go eat your favorite meal. Get some ice cream. Have like a shot of alcohol. Exercise is great for this. Do something else and clear your mind, and then you can come back to the game. You gotta think about things objectively. You can't think about things subjectively as if it's like this isolated case.
This much about slumps is obvious, but I think that the focus on performance is hiding a more important question we should be asking ourselves. Why don't we quit? Slumps are called slumps because we keep coming back. Slumping and then never playing again is just called quitting. When you follow a cycle of slumping and bouncing back, that means you have a relationship with the game, and that means you have a reason, good or bad, that keeps you playing. While simply taking breaks is effective and is something that everybody does, I think that we can do a lot better than the constant cycle of burning out completely, quitting for 6 months out of frustration, and then coming back to do the same fucking thing. If we don't understand our overall, long-term relationship with Counter-Strike, it will come back to bite us in the future.
Бро, у меня нету выгорания. Я не знаю, вот эти вот все бредовые, блядь, все, кто высказывается о мотивации, вы что, вообще с ума сошли? Нет мотивации. Алло, привет. Перед вами сидит игрок, не выигравший ни одного мажора. Такой же, как и вы. То мотивация есть всегда. Блять, у меня есть мотивация просто поехать на турнир, разъебашить всех там, блять. 15 тысяч зрителей поднимают руки, всем классно, все смотрят, все общаются между собой. У всех уже вакцина, блять, вбитая в теле. Я хз, но это много приятнее, чем ничего. Чем ничего не делать. Ну, как по мне.
Simple didn't just become the greatest player of all time because he's good at powering through slumps. He's the greatest because of his unique motivation that allows him to interact with slumps completely differently than everybody else. Most other professionals also have this same motivation. To players like Simple, the up and down nature of Counter-Strike means nothing, not because they're better than you, but because their goals, motivations, and perceptions of burnout are much more compatible with what I would call the traditional model of what we consider Counter-Strike success. The problem comes when we try to fit this same model with our own perception and expectation of our own play. This is what I mean by toxic relationship. Everybody is unique in their own way, and not everybody will be able to attain Simple's type of hyper-competitive drive and motivation. This is where we're going to have to be honest with ourselves about our own goals. Like I said earlier, when I first started taking Counter-Strike more seriously, training, playing, reviewing, and of course burning out, I did not at all consider the reason I was playing. Now, in hindsight, I have a much clearer view of my own relationship with Counter-Strike. For me, personally, as it stands now, Counter-Strike is not my entire life, and for a long time, I felt like I was wasting my time playing it if I didn't make it my entire life. I'm the type of person who will get very into a subject and then forsake every other aspect of their life to chase it, and it got to the point with CSGO that I even quit playing for some time entirely because I thought since I wasn't improving and winning quick enough by a professional standard of progression that it was simply a complete waste of time. I would force myself to play multiple Face-It games every day and deathmatch for hours on end even when I didn't feel like it, under the impression that overloading myself as much as possible would give me the improvements I was looking for, not realizing that the fact that I was playing for the wrong reasons caused me to be consistently burnt out, become frustrated, and even become scared of playing because of my own expectations. I am not any other player. I am myself, and I needed to build an understanding of my own relationship with the game. Again, somebody like Simple can play for hours and days on end without stopping, not because he's better than you, but because his relationship with the game is simply different than yours. I'm just not the kind of person that can play 10 games every day and learn every lineup on every map in one sitting. But when you get super heavy into the competitive side of Counter-Strike, people tend to assume there's only one way to go about it. This is why I think it's important to be honest about your Counter-Strike and life goals and to not compromise on them. If you honestly don't want to play and practice every day, don't. Changing your expectations will not only prevent heavy burnout cycles, but also allow you to see the game from new perspectives and approaches rather than staying in the same frustrating loops and habits. At the end of the day, Counter-Strike is a game, and I think sometimes it's easy to forget that if you are an overly competitive person such as myself. Counter-Strike is software. It should serve you, not the other way around. I love Counter-Strike. It's one of my biggest passions, and I didn't just pour thousands of hours into it for no reason, but I had to learn how to play it for myself and not some abstract idea of Counter-Strike's success. I know that I will most likely never play on a professional level, but that's fine. Counter-Strike still has so much depth to offer that I've still yet to explore. I'm only just beginning to understand this game. On the surface level, yes, there are good players and bad players, but if you take a step back and look at the game and community in its entirety, every player will develop a different relationship with Counter-Strike. Every player, whether good or bad, will experience and connect with this game from an entirely different perspective. In Counter-Strike, everybody connects to the same server in the same way, everybody buys the same weapons, and everybody plays by the same rules. What makes Counter-Strike and games like Counter-Strike special are not the games themselves, but the individuals that sculpt what they are given into their own experience. I might not be the best player myself, but I'm really good at and have a lot of fun breaking down the game and expressing ideas like these to an audience in my own way. Life is a game made up of simple rules, but those rules create unlimited avenues of possibility to explore. Stop limiting yourself. You don't have to become a STEM major because you're good at math. You don't have to become an NBA player because you're tall, and you don't have to become a Counter-Strike pro or even get out of silver because of somebody else's understanding of the game. Learn to set your own expectations and be honest about them. Anyways, if you found this video helpful, I would appreciate it a lot if you liked and also subscribed. I think I'm close to like 150 subscribers off one video, so that's pretty cool. And if you have any thoughts, go ahead and share them in the comments and let me know what you think about this kind of video style. If you want more to the point videos such as these, tune in for the next one, which will probably be about winning more in solo queue. Bye.